What's up, everyone? Midnight release right now. I just got my Switch 2. Let's go home and unbox it. Alright, so shout out to Best Buy because I had pre-ordered the Switch 2 during, I went to the midnight release. It was pretty packed. But they actually let you buy the accessories and actually had them all in stock, including games. So as you can see, we went kind of crazy here. We're going to start off with the Switch 2 though, so let's go ahead and unbox this. Alright, look inside the Switch. This is how it looks. We have two Joy-Cons here. We have the Switch unit here. I'll compare this to my OLED in a bit. Here we have our Mario Kart World full download, health and safety guidelines. This is a ultra high speed cable, so it can do 4K 120 actually, which is nice. You have these little straps for the Joy-Cons. Here we have the grip. Keep in mind, this is a standard grip. This is not a charging grip. Nintendo still does not include the charging grip. You have to spend $40 and buy it separately if you want that. We have the AC adapter here. This is actually pretty hefty. It's interesting. USB Type-C cable. And of course, we have the dock here. So that's what the dock looks like. Similar to the old dock, you have AC adapter, HDMI out, and then there's Ethernet here. Thank goodness they include Ethernet still. 2 USB on the side here, and that's about it. There's a lot more ventilation on this one, so I'm assuming this Switch is going to get a lot hotter than the old one. Alright, so this is the Switch 2 turning on. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the TV, and we'll set it up. Alright, internet settings. Let's see if it works through Ethernet. Alright, so now it's going to download the day one update, which will allow us to basically play stuff. Because right now, you can't play Switch 1 games. I'm on Ethernet, so it should be pretty fast. Alright, so I got it set up, and I guess first thing I can do is just show you all the settings here. So everything's pretty much the same as the old Switch. Got some accessibilities here. Data management, controllers. You can use this as a mouse, which is pretty cool. That's interesting. Audio. So here's something that's interesting. So I have a receiver, and Nintendo's still living like in the early 2000s because they still only support linear PCM 5.1 surround. There's not even 7.1 support. There's no Dolby Atmos support. Something to keep in mind. Still sounds fine. Then here we have some microphone testing. Display, so it does support HDR. It looks really nice. Resolution, so I don't know why 1440p isn't showing up on here. My TV does support 1440p. Keep in mind that right now I'm running at 4K, so at 4K it does 60 Hz with HDR. And if you want to do 120 Hz, you gotta switch to 1080p. Once you switch to 1080p, if you go here, you'll see at the bottom it says 120 Hz is possible. So it's just something to keep in mind. And here we can do RGB range, 120 output right here. As you can see, it says 1080p, 1440p. It does support auto low latency modes, and then HDR you can do compatible for all software, and then you can adjust it there. The rest of this is pretty much the same as the previous Switch for the most part. And here is the system settings. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show y'all a quick round of Mario Kart here. All right, so here is the game. So it's running really smooth. I really have to try out 4-player mode. That's when you'll know if it's good or not. Because on the old Mario Kart, when you did 4 players, the whole game pretty much lagged. But this game, it doesn't lag and it looks really nice. Everything is very smooth, even in 2-player mode. Motion thing is on. Of course, it's Mario Kart, so nothing like going from all those places back. What's this item? I don't remember what this one does. Oh, this is a... apparently you can do this now. Alright, so just to give you guys an idea, this is the size difference of the Switch OLED versus the Switch 2 with the docks. There is a side-by-side the size difference. So the Switch 2 is decently bigger. It It'll be interesting to see the Switch 2 display versus the OLED's display. We'll go over that in a little bit as well. Alright, so right now we have both screens at full brightness. So the OLED Switch is definitely brighter, but look at those blacks. This actually looks really nice. I don't know if this is actually because of the theme, so let's actually load the same content on both. If we go to news here, I had something open. So if you saw there, this actually loaded faster. So I really like the way the red looks on here actually compared to the OLED. The color actually, I don't know, I kind of like it better on here.
It's good to play games. But parents sometimes wonder, is my child playing too much?
Alright, so the blacks definitely look better on the OLED, for sure, than here, for obvious reasons. And the colors are definitely more saturated on the OLED as well. The OLED is also brighter than the Switch 2's display. I wouldn't be surprised if the Switch 2 gets an OLED model in like 2-3 years from now, but this display is definitely better than this one. But the bigger display is nice. It's not a bad display actually, it's pretty good looking. Alright, let's check the sound.
But the parent can see that he's not following the rules. There is a function to have the system go into sleep mode when it hits the time limit.
That is no
kind
contest.
of a last resort.
So the speakers on the Switch 2 are way better than the Switch 1. The Switch 1 sounds like an old mono cell phone compared to how good the Switch 2 speakers sound. They're that much better. So as I'm switching games, I just wanted to mention that the cards are basically the same. So if you want to put this in the Switch 1, you can actually do it. And then you'll get this message saying that this is Switch 2 software. 3DS had a notch that didn't let you use the new system games in the old one, but anyways, let's see how it looks on here. Alright, next let's look at the performance. So this is Pokemon Sword. It's not as bad as Scarlet. I know Scarlet had a lot of performance issues, but here you can see how it performs. Alright, I don't know why my character changed. That's weird. I'm in the same location. I don't know if you guys can even tell, but it's a lot smoother running on here than it was on the Switch. I'm so curious what happened to my character. I literally just did a new game, and apparently I have Pokemon now. That's interesting. Alright, so the way the new controllers connect is magnetically. So a lot of people are afraid of this little connector here, but honestly, it's very seamless, and there you go. Now to remove them, there's this little button right here. I don't know if y'all can see that. There we go. So that button right there, basically you just do that. So it basically kicks, I don't know if you can see that, it basically kicks the controller out. So there you go. So yeah, we'll see if these Joy-Cons end up drifting like the old ones. They do feel a lot better. The whole console in general actually feels a lot more premium than the other console. Like these sticks feel really nice as opposed to this just feels a lot more cheap. This is probably better for kids because it's smaller, it's easier to hold. This one's probably going to be easier for adults to hold. I don't know how this is going to be for kids. It is heavier than this. Yeah, it's a decent amount heavier. The other thing is the stand here. So on the old Switch you have the stand here. You can adjust it to any angle, so it wasn't that bad. The OG Switch was the one that wasn't that great. This new one, it's a bit more sleek, so this one is pretty much like the same as the OLED Switch in the sense that you can change it to any angle. Under heavy gaming, the console does get a bit warm. It's most of the heat is concentrated up here. There isn't too much heat on the bottom portion here. Most of it's like up here. So when you're gaming, it's comfortable for a pretty long time, which is nice. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and try the create chat function. I'm gonna invite my brother and see if this works. Let's see what happens. What's up, man? Can you hear me?
What's up, man?
Ooh, dope. Let's see. Oh, dang, there we go. Filter off. Oh, there's a zoom. Going up. Let's see if that works. Oh, that's funny. Let's see if I can sit back. That's pretty. That's blurry because it's far away. Okay. Alright, so the game runs super smooth as you can see, even though we're in GameChat. It's not lagging yet, but oh man. But the main thing I'm curious about is how it looks when someone's sharing a game. So I'm gonna have my brother share a game, his gameplay later, maybe next round, just so we can get an idea. But there is a lot of wasted space. I'm gonna see what the other mode is. I think there's one more mode. Alright, so what I'm curious about is these different modes. So there's expanded main screen. So expanded main screen makes the video a lot smaller, which is a little bit easier. We have a smaller TV. What else do we got? We got full screen. What does this do? So the display speaker. Alright, so this one doesn't show. That one doesn't show. I think I like this one the best. Oh, can you do screen sharing? Alright, so this confirms my suspicions. As you can see from the bottom, if someone is doing a screen sharing, the screen is super laggy. Obviously my gameplay at the top is very smooth, but if you're watching anyone else's gameplay, it's running like that's like 5 FPS, 10 FPS max. Looks hilarious. Oh, my thing's laggy, right? My video at the bottom? Yep. So they're laggy. Alright, so that's confirmed my theory, so that's just how it's gonna be. Still cool that you can see other people's gameplay. Hopefully they improve that over time. We'll see if they do. Alright, in terms of battery life, this thing dies decently faster than the OLED. So playing the same game, got about 2.5 hours on here, and I got about 3.5 hours on this one, to give you a comparison. Now obviously this has a bigger screen, so it's going to take more energy, and it's a higher resolution. But yeah, battery life is not as good. For me, it's, it's not too bad. It's USB-C, so chances are you'll probably have something that has USB charging with you. But we'll see if they fix battery life a little bit, like optimize the console a bit, because I do feel like it is draining faster than it should be. But there's obviously different games as well, so I only tested one game. I haven't tested more games, but I wasn't expecting this to have the best battery life. Alright, I think that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm sure you're going to watch like 500 other videos about these. I was already planning on buying the Switch 2, even though I have the OLED. I know my brother also did the same thing, and I have a few other friends that did the same thing. If you have a base Switch, this is going to be a huge upgrade. If you have an OLED, the screen is not an upgrade, except for size and resolution and refresh rate. So I guess it depends on what you like, right? The OLED has better blacks, it has better colors, and it's brighter. But this screen is bigger, it has a higher refresh rate, it has a higher resolution, so there's trade-offs there. I already said it now, I'm calling it 1 to 2 years, maybe 3, OLED Switch 2 will be out, guaranteed, and that one will be like the best one. Should you upgrade if you have an OLED Switch? It depends, right? There's some games that are still coming out for the Switch 1, such as Pokemon Legends, ZA, and they're going to be 2 versions. However, I can already tell you, go online and look at the Legends ZA gameplay. Look at the Switch 2 version and the Switch version. The Switch 2 version looks much better. And not only that, but I have a 4K TV. The OLED Switch is 1080p on dock mode. This thing already looks amazing on the TV, and HDR is working, which is awesome. It does support auto low latency mode. There's no variable refresh rate right now, but it might change in the future, so we'll see. And I'm unable to do 1440p mode on my TV, even though it supports it. That's a Sony A93. I always forget what the exact model number. It's the one that has a full local dimming LCD. But yeah, other than that, I've talked enough. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.